Tom Brady started the season suspended the first 4 games because of Deflategate and will end the season playing in the Super Bowl for a record 7th time. Deflategate is something in New England that people are still salty about. Here's what Patriots owner Robert Kraft told the New York Times about the Deflategate penalties. Sometimes the league really messes up, and I think they really messed this up badly. But we've all agreed to subjugate our right to disrupt everything. I mean, we can, but we're a partnership. There's jealousy, there's envy, there's stupidity. Sometimes life is unfair, and you have to suck it up and move on and not use it as an excuse. Stephen A., do you think Tom Brady completely obliterated the Deflategate scandal?
Well, I think he did in this sense. It's certainly not something that you think too much about now. Mm-hmm. When you watch him perform, you ain't thinking Deflategate. You're thinking about the fact that this might be the best quarterback in history. Even though I'm still a Joe Montana guy, he's in that discussion. You're thinking about the greatness he exudes. You're thinking about the fire in his belly. You're thinking about the fact that, again, this dude is en route to capturing his 5th Super Bowl title. And so when you look at it from that perspective, the Deflategate momentum quells in comparison to that. Now, in a roundabout way, you might be thinking about Deflategate because ultimately you're thinking about the vengeance he supposedly wants to exact against Commissioner Raj Goodell, and that might have Deflategate on your mind. But you don't look at Tom Brady and think about deflated footballs and say, he cheated, he got an unfair advantage. You think about Tom Brady and you say, that's a bad somebody. This brother's no joke. And that's the ultimate emotion that comes through your mind. So being that that's the case, I can't sit up there and say that Deflategate is still relevant. It's relevant because of the vengeance factor, but it's not relevant in terms of looking at Tom Brady, dissecting his game, and saying to yourself, does he really deserve what he has? There's no question. The greatness that's associated with his name is well earned and well deserved.
I am disturbed by, I mean, you look around the world right now, especially in the Western Hemisphere, this wave of populism that's sweeping the globe. And it is connected to this idea of might makes right. Of this idea that the winners are vindicated by the fact that they won. And it's like a post-moral world. I don't like this. Now, the idea that somehow if the Patriots win, that obliterates Deflategate, which was a cheating scandal, doesn't make sense to me on a basic level. Unless you're staying by the idea that they didn't cheat and they were unfairly treated. And I will admit that early on, it seemed as though, stop making excuses, they got caught cheating. And since then, in terms of the evidence that's come forward, I think the tide has turned and at least a slight majority overall, just outside the New England area, obviously, feel that maybe they were treated unfairly. I understand why someone would feel like if they win, it obliterates Deflategate only in this respect. And I want to talk about baseball very quickly for a second. There's lots of different ways to cheat in baseball. Babe Ruth was caught with a corked bat. Mm-hmm. But there's no hard evidence that tells you a corked bat actually helps you hit a home run, so who cares? But steroids and human growth hormone, absolutely 100% that's causal. They help you hit home runs. They help make you be better than you were. Mm-hmm. And so people have a different reaction to that. I think maybe Patriots fans are feeling, look, even if we cheated, or let's say Patriots fans are saying they did, neutral observers, even if they cheated, they won anyway. They destroyed the Colts on their way to winning the Super Bowl in the game in which they were caught. And this year, if they win, it shows you that even if they did cheat, it wouldn't have mattered. From that point of view, I understand. But this idea that simply if you win in the end, it doesn't matter whether or not you cheated is absurd.
Let me just add one thing. I think it's so simple. I think it's that people felt that they needed it to cheat. They needed this unfair advantage to win. And now he's showing there's no deflated footballs, and I still get it done. And I realize that happened in the second half. But not so I think it's just as basic as that. Like, he doesn't need the advantage.
One last comment about that. And from this point of view, I also understand if Patriots fans feel like persecuted in a way. The Patriots are so much better than everyone else for so long now because of the Patriot way, which is a real thing, separated from any kind of cheating, videotaping, deflating footballs, whatever, that I understand if Patriots fans are like, well, look, I know you all are trying to figure out why we're better than you, and you think that it's because we have to cheat, but in fact, no, we go about our business better than you, so we're better than you. I understand that point of view. The idea, though, that simply winning obliterates cheating is not true.
No, I agree with that. In this situation, in Deflategate, I don't think the question was ever Tom Brady's ability to throw a football that was inflated, the to the correct levels or to throw one that was a little bit less. It's never been a question of can Tom Brady complete passes, right? The reason Tom Brady was punished the way he was, the reason that the Patriots were punished the way they were, was because of the subsequent investigation and the way they handled that. We know that it's a strict fine for not having the footballs inflated to the point that they were, but they were so hell-bent on not being seen as cheaters, they handled the investigation in a certain way. When Tom Brady plays quarterback, I agree with Stephen A. I think nothing about deflated footballs. I think about Tom Brady's greatness. I think about the fact that he's on his way to becoming, if he wins this, and maybe without winning this, the most accomplished and greatest quarterback of all time. I understand that. But that does not take away the fact that this team, this organization has a history of cheating. And that's not an opinion. That's not a guess. That is for sure. That's not me just talking. This is who they are. And yes, they are better than everyone. Yes, they conduct business in a different way that makes this an exceptional organization, an exceptional team. They are. Oh, they cheat. They have cheated. And that makes you a cheater. Now, if you look at many of the other teams, there's Carolina Panthers, they have cheated. They pumped sound into the stadium. Pittsburgh Steelers had an issue earlier on in this season that was investigated about footballs being deflated. And so there are other teams who have tried things. They're just better at it than other people. But when you sit in green rooms and when you talk to coaches, when you're at combines and when you're at Super Bowls and you're sitting at the tables with coaches and coaches say, yeah, we knew they were videotaping. We knew they were videotaping our signs. So what we did was just run somebody on the field. When you talk to a player and they said every time you make a certain call, you can see them checking because they knew to call the signs. Yes, that's real. That's not fake. They know that. But it does not change the fact of what Tom Brady has accomplished. It does not make me look at him any differently as far as the player he is. Deflategate was about the person. It was about the way the person handled the situation, and that's why it was personal.
Let me debate with you on this level. I get where you're coming from because I've been there. On many, many occasions, I made the argument against Tom Brady. I don't give a damn if it was Nerf footballs. He's a bad boy. He destroyed the Indianapolis Colts in that AFC Championship game, blah, blah, blah. I blame Tom Brady because of how he elected to handle the situation because a lot of it could have been quelled and he handled it correctly because, again, you're Tom Brady. Figure it out. Work with Roger Goodell behind the scenes and handle it. It became about you challenging the authority of the commissioner and the shield and the commissioner raising up and saying, oh, no, we can't allow you to set precedent because if you win this against me, it'll open up Pandora's box and everybody will come this way and it'll be a nightmare. So we understood that. But I think it's important in the throes of what you're saying to highlight this. Tom Brady himself got to a point where he was fighting for his name. Tom Brady ain't interested in fighting somebody because they said the Patriots cheated. Tom Brady was fighting because you were saying he cheated. And what he was saying is, oh, hell no. That's not the Patriot, the brand that is the Patriots with Mr. Kraft, the great Mr. Kraft, with Bill Belichick and the rest of my teammates. I'm here by myself. You coming at me. And so when you isolated his name, when we asked the question, did it obliterate Deflategate? The reason why I say to a strong degree, yes, because when you think about Deflategate, you don't think about Tom Brady as in the throes of he cheated. You think about Deflategate in terms of him fighting and going after Roger Goodell because he believes he individually was smeared.
How does winning do that? How does winning change the perception? Because
what happens is when you go out there, because you're thinking they're under a microscope, there's no deflated footballs, there's nothing else that they'll get away with. I'm going out there, and regardless of what obstacles you threw in my face, taking 4 games away from me, having me sit at home, I still rolled up back in here, and the only team that beat me was the Seattle Seahawks. I'm coming for you, and that's that.
But that's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm telling you.
We got to go after you.
Okay, here's what I'm telling you. Nobody in the history of football who has ever put on those pads thought that the reason Tom Brady was good was because the footballs were deflated.
I agree.
So he can win a million games.
Haters did.
He can, but they no. It's not. Haters are haters. Like they're crazy. What I'm saying is, people who play the game is what matters to Tom Brady. His peers matter. He didn't want to be seen like a cheater to them, but none of those people thought he was good because the footballs were flat.
Right.
Super Bowl 51 is in H-Town. Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons will face Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. This may be Ryan's first Super Bowl appearance, but Dan Quinn will be coaching in 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls, while Brady and Belichick have been in 2 of the last 4. Ryan Clark in the house.
What's up, guys? How y'all
How we doing? Sorry your boys didn't
Looking
get it
sharp
done.
as always.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, it's just tough to go there and win, though. So
Of course.
we live with it.
Of course, we've seen the track record. Max, want to start with you
Yeah.
here. Who's the most feared player, or who should be the most feared player on Super Bowl Sunday?
Feared is the operative word. And so I am not going to say Tom Brady, who is the best player in the game.
Okay.
Tom Brady doesn't make mistakes. He has a strong, accurate arm, et cetera, et cetera. I'll leave that to whoever wants to argue for Tom
Thank you.
Brady.
Go ahead.
But the most feared is Julio Jones, for a lot of the reasons, Stephen A., that you brought up earlier. The most feared is Julio Jones because you could do everything right to Julio Jones. He is the one player on the field, both sides of the ball, either team, who you can do every single thing right to stop him, and you still may not be able to. And if this is a tight game, because you look at that Patriots defense against the run, etc., and you look at special teams, every phase of the game, Belichick's going to be better prepared than the other side. He's the better coach, etc. Everyone's going to ball. We know that. The way the Falcons are playing, though, it should be a close contest. And when you have a home run hitter and a difference maker like Julio Jones, where it can all be right for you and he can make it come out wrong for you, that's the guy you have to fear the most on the field, either side.
Let me tell you why I disagree with you. I'm going to go with Tom Brady with this one. Here's why. It's not just because of the greatness of Tom Brady. It's because of the youth in Atlanta's secondary and the moment itself. Now, we can sit up there and we can look at athleticism, we can look at physicality, we can look at the way that they perform, we can look at all these different things. But you would know this better than me. The Super Bowl is a different stage. It's the ultimate stage. And sometimes, those dudes whose eyes get a little bit bright and wide and what have you, putting Max Kellerman to shame, okay? I mean, when you got those eyes, you understand what I'm trying to say? It's like, whoa, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. This stage might be too big. Not saying that that's you. I'm just talking about your eyes right
I'm
there.
just saying, you might be in love with me or something. I'm fixated on my eyes.
I'm just saying, but the point is, here's the deal. Here's the deal, though. But I look at that. And here's the point that I want to bring up about Atlanta. Everybody's been raving about how they've been since the bye week. I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing from Atlanta. I think they got a real legitimate shot at winning the Super Bowl. But I got to look at this, y'all. They won the game. They ended the season winning 4 straight and 5 of their last 6. They beat Arizona after the bye week. We know what's been going on with Arizona. They were haphazard this year. They lost that game to Kansas City. Then they come back with 4 straight. Rams, 49ers, Panthers. Now, they beat New Orleans too. They gave up 32 to New Orleans, okay? They won 38-32. And then in the divisional, they beat Seattle. We all know that their offense ain't the same, and they've been a bit haphazard this year. And yesterday, they went up against Aaron Rodgers with a bunch of receivers that couldn't catch the ball, okay? So let's pump the brakes just a little bit, put stuff in its proper perspective, and rationalize that even though Atlanta has looked very impressive, defensively, they clearly improved from what they were earlier on in the season. We got to take into consideration the level of competition and acknowledge that ain't who you going up against in 2 weeks.
Right.
That's going to be tough. This is a different animal that you're going up against. I'm talking about the collection of
So far,
efficiency.
they've been up against brand
That's what I'm
names,
saying.
but the brand names haven't, Seattle was compromised because of injury, et cetera. Same thing
Well,
with Green Bay.
in saying that, to me, you can't say Tom Brady and talk about the quarterbacks they've faced and skip over Aaron Rodgers. Right? Aaron Rodgers played well yesterday. He's not the reason the Green Bay Packers are home today. But when you prepare against an Aaron Rodgers, it's a team sport. Right? And so what was it that the Atlanta Falcons did against Aaron Rodgers? They made stops, but they scored, and they scored constantly, and they put pressure on the offense. And the huge reason why the Atlanta Falcons score, and obviously Julio Jones, we understand what he can do physically, the ways you have to stop him. But what does Bill Belichick do? The thing you do well, he takes that away. The person that you do, quote unquote, fear, he takes that away. We saw that with Antonio Brown yesterday. Obviously, Tom Brady, he's a household name, not only household in the regular season. This ain't Peyton Manning type guy. This is, I show up when it's supposed to happen. Those are obvious. For me, it's a guy named Tevin Freeman. I made it up. because it's both of them.
Yeah.
The running
it's the
backs.
position.
Tevin
right?
Coleman and
It's
Devontae.
Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman, because these guys throughout the season, 2,500 total yards, 24 touchdowns. In the divisional game, they had half of the 400 yards. They had 200 total together. Obviously, you're going to go out and plan to stop Julio Jones. You're going to put things together in the secondary to stop Mohamed Sanu, Gabriel, these guys, Matt Ryan, because that will be the focal point. You're going to get Vanoy matched up on the back. You're going to get Ninkovich matched up on the back. You're going to have to stop the downhill running game. And I think that's the way Atlanta has to attack Tom Brady and New England Patriots, because you have to
Isn't that
keep him
still
off the
Julio
field.
Jones, though? Because, look, the Patriots' run defense is special to me. I mean, they really did a good job. I know Le'Veon Bell goes down early, but he wasn't lighting the game on fire before then.
6 carries, 20 yards.
Right, but with these spread offenses nowadays, with it being a one-on-one matchup, go beat your guy, right? As well as Matt Ryan has been playing, what Julio Jones does is make it easier for Sanu and for Gabriel, and especially, I think, for you said, who was it, Tevin Freeman?
Tevin Freeman.
Right, especially when they're
He's a
catching passes out of the backfield. It's not just a straight run game, it's using them as receivers.
Right, but if you're Bill Belichick, you don't fear that, because you have taken away number one threats your whole career. That's what you do. That is what you have built defense on. So that doesn't scare you. What scares you is the things I can't scheme for. Because if I can scheme for Julio Jones, if I can scheme for Matt Ryan, then I have to have a one-on-one matchup with my linebacker against these backs. And I think these backs are better. That's how Denver got exposed early on in the season against Atlanta.
Let me tell you what I think you're missing. Feel free to correct me. Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman are big time. They're ferocious runners. They don't dance around. They're not patient like Le'Veon Bell, but at the same time, you might be worried about going up against them because they're north-south runners. They go downhill. They come right at you. I love that about them, and I know those brothers can play. But when you have weapons like a Julio Jones and what he creates, what he makes Gabriel into, what he makes Sanu into, and what have you, and Matt Ryan throwing the football, the key word to me is patience and discipline. Do you have that if you're the Atlanta Falcons? Can you show up in the Super Bowl and give these boys the ball all day to run the football and move the chains? Chances are that's not what you're going to do, because even though you know they can ball, that's not a strength of yours. I'm thinking about Bill Belichick and the different and the discipline and the efficiency that he's instilled in these guys, and the fact that they have been here before. And I'm wondering how Atlanta can offset that. To me, the key is going to be Quinn, because Quinn has coached against them in the Super Bowl before. He's beaten big-time quarterbacks before. He has that potential.
So, real quick, when Le'Veon Bell went out, D'Angelo Williams comes in and they score a touchdown. It wasn't because D'Angelo Williams was running the football. It was him catching the ball out of the backfield. Why is that open? Because now we're using a safety and Malcolm Butler underneath on Antonio Brown. And these running backs, it's not about that they rush for a ton of yards, it's that they affect the game.
Right. When
in
you say
so many ways.
Belichick takes away your
we
top
gotta leave
option, if your sixth pass catching option is Devontae Freeman, you're in trouble.
You're doing all
We
right.
got to leave it there because we got a lot coming up in the
Another team in
second
trouble.
hour. Ryan is sticking with us. Up next.